Well, that wasn't fun. Welcome back. We messed up and hit in live show. So we are now going to be live again. Take two, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can get this thing going again. We're in the middle of talking Giants and Cowboys. So we'll get this out. Hopefully you all find us once again. Did not mean for that to happen. And we'll keep this train moving along. Had some good viewers going too. That's just kind of a tough gig. Let me get everybody in here as we have a take two. Why not? I'll give my take here for Giants Cowboys. I think that I think that Kev was on something with Dowdle. I like Rico Dowdle a lot this weekend. Tomorrow, no Lee. I think John actually hit in stream on his way out. Actually, good though. As soon as everybody gets in here, we'll get their Giants and Lions takes. But I like Rico Dowdle quite a bit tomorrow. Think he's a pretty good DFS play. He's pretty cheap on FanDuel, and excited to kind of talk through that. Josh, what's your take on this game tomorrow?
Yeah, I was getting all ready to jump on what Kev was saying. I'm big on Rico Dowdle as well. I have not liked him at all this year, but the Giants are like 27th against fantasy running backs. I think that there's going to be a lot of offensive opportunities because there's going to be a lot of drives that end quickly, I feel like. So I think there's just going to be a lot to be had. I also am going to lean Cowboys on Thanksgiving this year. And so I think the last money line I saw was they were 3.5-point favorites. Is that still accurate?
That's what I've got. Yeah.
Yeah. 3.5. Yeah. So I think the Cowboys cover that. I think they win by at least 7 or 10 points. And I'm not here to say that they're great and elite anymore. Like after last week, you mentioned people maybe checking the box score and saying, oh, they got 34 points, right? It's a very misleading scoreline box score from last week against the Commanders. But I do think, and I think John was mentioning it before he left, that the Cowboys are getting some guys back on defense, and I think they'll wreak some havoc. But I just think there's going to be enough to be had. I think it'll be a more fun game than we're expecting, probably because the bar of expectations is going to be so low with Cooper Rush v. Drew Lock. But hey, Kev, I was just echoing what you said about Rico Dowdle.
We were liking your take.
Yeah.
That nobody heard apparently because we were. So we need to let all Josh have ever done is said, "Wow, Kev's take was good," but nobody's actually heard your take, dude.
Right. So if you could just say exactly what you were saying when the stream ended.
Yeah,
repeat it exactly.
No pressure.
So here we go, gang. As much as we might reminisce and long for Zeke to be doing the whole feed me. I think we were talking about him jumping in the Salvation Army tub as well. It's all queued up for Rico Dowdle to have that kind of a night against the Giants. Last week, not the best, 19 carries for 86 yards, but compare that to Zeke's 3 carries. The Giants are averaging just under 150 yards rushing per game as a defense. They're 30th in the league in that regard. They are 21st in the league in giving up rushing touchdowns. So for me, if I need a flex play, or if I'm looking for maybe somebody who might show up cheap on the daily fantasy, I think Rico is somebody to take a look at this week.
Yeah,
not exactly the same, but I think we were close.
But we both were agreeing.
Yeah. Well, and I would say the same things you said. Like I haven't liked Rico Dowdle at all this year, and yet this matchup, the Giants are bad against running backs. I was just telling Trevor as you were popping on, like this is gonna. It feels like it's gonna be a bad game, but I feel like there's gonna be a lot of opportunities. I feel like the offense is gonna be on the field a lot because I don't know if we're gonna have 12 play 9-minute drives that these offenses are going to orchestrate, right? So I think they're either going to score quick or punt quick or turn it over quick, and I just feel like there's going to be carries to be had. And so it's weird too, because I like what you said about maybe for a DFS play, because there's no bye weeks this week. So unless you're really as much as I like Rico Dowdle, when I look at my lineup, I don't know if I'm going to put him in over certain guys, but definitely from a DFS standpoint or from a parlay to have some more fun tomorrow while you're watching the game. And who knows, maybe you have a guy you're frustrated with that's been underachieving. I mean, if Rico Dowdle is going to do anything, it's going to be this week. And I think I'm here for him to do pretty well. I like him to get like a receiving touchdown and, at least 50, 60 yards on the ground. That's kind of where I'm at as a floor for him. So I'm hoping that's the case. And I'm the biggest Tyrone Tracy guy of all time. So that's the other thing I'll say about this game, that I don't care who's at quarterback. Tyrone Tracy is my guy that I'm going to, die on a hill for, I guess. So I'm starting him pretty much everywhere. And I think even in his bad weeks, he's getting right around 10 PPR points. So I think, the running backs in this game, I think you could do a lot worse. And so if there's a guy that you don't like a matchup for, or you don't like how they've performed past couple weeks, or if there's a questionable injury, you're worried about target share, whatever it may be, I think these running backs can do you some work this week. So
I'm big on Dowdle. Actually, you both mentioned DFS. They are Josh Jacobs is pulling some ownership right now. Obviously, everybody is kind of owned because it's such a small slate for DFS, but
right.
Dowdle is by far currently via ETR. He's by far the best value at just 6,100 on FanDuel. So, and I'm pretty certain he's pretty cheap on DraftKings as well. So yeah, I think kind of like essentially like the value play, and then you just got to try to get different elsewhere because everybody else is going to play him as well. Unfortunately, we can't be sneaky with him. But yeah, love Dowdle this week. I'll also just throw in that I think CeeDee Lamb, dude's just going to continue to get peppered with targets. This Giants defense is pretty, I think is pretty bad. Like, I don't really see anything special out of them. And so it'll be hard because I don't think that the Cowboys will lose this game, but I do think that they will continue to pepper him with targets there. Ben. Go ahead, Josh.
Sorry to cut you off. We'll get to Ben. You said CeeDee Lamb, and I thought Cowboys pass catchers. I forgot I wrote some notes about. I kind of like either Schoonmaker or Ferguson as well.
Schoon's going to be Ferguson's going to be out.
Ferguson's out for sure. Okay,
he's out with concussion. Yep.
And what is Schoonmaker had about 60 yards and 5-6 catches, right?
But let me give you a better, cheaper name if we're going to really talk FanDuel.
Oh, okay.
What is Spanford? Spanford?
Brevin Spanford, Minnesota guy.
Spanford, dude. I think he out-targeted. I think he had more targets. I'm going to pull it up real fast.
Ooh, that is super sneaky.
No, he didn't have. He had 2 targets. Schoonmaker had 4 targets. Okay. But if you remember 2 weeks ago when Ferguson went out, Spanford was all over the field.
Yeah,
it felt like every pass was going to Spanford.
Yep. I wonder if that's a case of like the backup quarterback gets more time in practice with some of the lesser known options, and so when game time comes, they're like, well, they have chemistry together, so why not? Maybe it's one of those deals.
Super cheap on DFS. You probably don't need to go that far down this week. Usually these Thanksgiving Day slates are kind of the salaries a little bit easy, so you probably don't have to go that far. But what's up, Pete? Appreciate all your interaction you always give us on X, and hopefully you feel the love reciprocated. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. Ben, let's get to your take here. Cowboys, Giants. You got a good bet. You got a good fancy take. Who's going to win the game? What are your thoughts? And you're muted.
I'm never muted, but I should be. All right. I got a couple of bets. I'll drop them here in a second. But, Trevor, I'm going to go back to something you started with, and that is the Dallas Cowboys defense. They had not only got Micah Parsons back, but Deron Bland is back last week. And they've gotten another guy or two back over the past couple of weeks as well. So it's a much more dangerous team than it was 4 or 5 weeks ago on the defensive side. And it's a little tough to tell that when you look at their point totals the past few weeks, right? When you're going up against the Texans and the other couple of teams they've had, the Commanders, it's a little tough to tell that. But then you go back and look and you realize, man, those first 2.5, 3 quarters of almost all those games, Dallas has really been making these teams work, and it's kind of been crazy fourth quarters, not just the Commanders game, but even going back to the Eagles game. It's kind of just been getting away from them there at the end, and part of that is due to the fact that they can't really score many points, so it's just kind of like the dam breaks at a certain point. So Dallas should really do well in this game. I feel like this is Dallas's game to lose. I feel like they kind of run away with it at the end here. I don't like backup quarterbacks going up against a dangerous Cowboys defense, and I think that's going to be a big problem. The John mentioned it. They may still hit the over because I think there's going to be a lot of crazy in this game. But the Cowboys are dangerous again, and that doesn't mean they're going to make the playoffs. It doesn't mean their fans are going to feel great about next year. It just means they're dangerous right now, and they haven't quit. We watched them last week. CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons led the way as everybody just hustled and scrapped and fought, and they really put out the effort. And then you look at the Giants, and the vibes over there are terrible right now. You could say they didn't put out the effort last week. So I don't know that I feel great about the Giants rolling into Dallas here on Thanksgiving Day with, second, third string quarterback, however you want to view that, and a defense that's just not very good. I don't feel too great about that. So that's where I'm sitting. I like the Cowboys. My two little bets here, Kevontae Turpin and Darius Slayton, both kind of speed merchants, if you will. If you're just looking to put a little juice on it, put them down as an anytime touchdown scorer. They don't need a lot of receptions to get that. They don't need yardage. It's just anytime touchdowns. You can get them both at plus 600, man. But either one of them over the past 2 to 3 weeks have touched the football and have either scored or threatened to score on big time plays.
Yep.
So that's just if you want to drop a little action on that, $5 each, you can rack up pretty quick there. So that's what I got.
I'll say this.
Can we keep that one out of the underdog parlay? Though?
Yeah, we'll keep that one out of the underdog parlay.
I love the spice. I mean, who doesn't want to root for Turpin to just blow the socks off and outrun everybody again? Because that spin move last week was dirty.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I made an underdog parlay earlier, and I was like, I looked at Turpin's name. I was like, you know what? Like, does he have another one in him on prime time to get a turkey leg on Thanksgiving? Like,
oh yeah,
could it be? I don't know.
Man, he's a 5.9x for a touchdown, rush or receiving.
that's a little steep right there.
The problem is
do that.
Yeah, the problem is on these when you're betting these, they don't all. If you like on underdog, it's rush plus receiving touchdown. It's not anytime touchdown, right? So you kind of take the special teams aspect out of it for Turpin, anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which that's kind of hard because you want that other option. You want that out.
Right.
Like that though. Any other takes on this game? If not, we can build a underdog pick'ems here. Thank you all. If you're in the chat, if you're on X, thank you so much. Appreciate the love. Love seeing thank you for everybody coming back after our little snafu that we just had. But come on over to YouTube. In the YouTube chat, you can then throw in your own takes, right? And so you can't necessarily do that on X as well. So jump on over to YouTube. I did link it in a response to our X live feed. So come on over to YouTube, jump in the chat, give us your best hot take for Giants versus the Cowboys tomorrow as we talk through a underdog pick'ems. I've already got Micah Parsons for a sack lined up here from
Love it.
John. My favorite bet tomorrow, and I don't even know if I mentioned it, is CeeDee Lamb over 6.5 catches. I love CeeDee Lamb. I think he's had double-digit targets like the last 5 games, maybe more. The last time he did not get double-digit targets was week 5.
Yeah.
So love the double-digit targets that he's getting each and every week. So I'm gonna throw in CeeDee Lamb. I think he's at 6.5 catches.
Yep.
Gets a little multiplier on there as well. Kev, Ben, you guys got any players that you want to attack here? You don't have to know the lines yet. We can just look them up.
Probably look at Tracy, right? Because you have to have something from both teams, and I
Yeah.
don't know who
I
else
took-
I'd be comfortable with right now.
I took Tracy over 1.5 receptions earlier. I don't know if that's gone up, but I feel like he's going to get a couple of catches tomorrow.
At the very least, some high pressure checkdowns, right?
Right. That's what you would think. And so at 1.5, I feel like he can get to 2 pretty quick. I don't know what it's at now. I can't see
It's
it on there.
still at 1.5, 4 targets last week. You like that?
Yeah, I mean he hasn't put up a ton in the passing game, but I feel like he.
Oh, 4 targets, 4 catches last week.
There we go.
Well, there it is.
All right.
Yeah, and especially with potentially the third string quarterback,
Right.
tight ends and running backs are backup's best friend, right?
Right.
We get a little multiplier with that one as well. Ben, any other players that you want to take a look at? Lee says Bland interception. I just can't do the individual player on defense. That feels too thin. I would love it, but it feels too thin.
Once you get into IDP,
Man.
you get real deep. It's a lot of fun, but
Who's going to score a touchdown? I mean, let's. What does Turpin do? 5.9x. Oh my goodness. That takes it from a 3x to a 34x.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it on an
Ooh.
underdog. That's a little private. Take your $5 and spend it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't do that on the underdog.
Don't tell anybody that you did it until you hit.
Yes.
And like, hey, look what I did, y'all.
Look what I did.
Look, the underdog segment is serious though. We
Right.
put no long.
You're like,
strings on
I
there.
knew he was going to do it the whole time. Had full confidence.
Right.
Let's look at these tight ends while you think through, Ben.
Malik Neighbors on the yardage side, not necessarily the catches side, because they're going to make life difficult for him. But what's he at on the yardage side?
63.5 for yardage.
And he's at 6.5 receptions.
21
I wouldn't
and a half
want the
longest
receptions.
reception.
Maybe the yardage.
63.5. Who'd you say Schoonmaker earlier?
Yeah.
63.5 feels a little large. But we're not taking unders, right? We're going overs.
I was gonna talk about that. I have a real hard time picking unders. I try to because I'm like, I know unders happen, but like I just find myself gravitating towards the guys that I like, and so I'm always picking the hires. And I don't know. I feel like it's an inch. I'd be curious to hear some strategies because it's
I
not
think it's
obviously
just
it's
more
not
fun.
obvious. What's that? Yeah, it's way. Yeah.
There are times that I really actually love unders that like you just find something that
Right.
there's an under that I actually like to play a lot with the Chiefs, and it's Justin Watson because they always have Justin Watson at like 12.5 yards because it only takes one catch from Justin Watson, but he'll go 3-4 weeks without a catch. But if he gets a catch, it's going for 20 yards. So it's like it's a weird. I always see it, and I always try to hit it because I'm like, look, he's rarely getting a catch in a football game for the Chiefs.
Right.
When he does, it's going to hit the over. So there's sometimes you can go under there.
I used to play the unders a lot when I was doing NBA prop bets because I felt like it was easier to know, oh, hey, this person who normally scores a lot is actually in a slump, or they're going against a defender for 30 minutes tonight that is going to make them less productive. I feel like it was maybe a little easier for me to do it when I was hitting the NBA props a little bit more, but I tend to agree with you there. I think I don't know. And Trev said something like it's a little more fun that way, right? Like, I don't know. It's just, maybe that's what it is. But I think I do the same thing. It's like I root for things I think are gonna happen, not for what I expect to not happen.
No,
I don't know.
right.
I don't want to be sweating every time the ball's thrown. Like, oh God, please don't be CD. Please don't be CD.
Yeah, please don't be this guy. I'm looking for my guy. Be like, yes,
Exactly.
Here we go. Yeah.
All right, Ben, who's going to score a touchdown tomorrow that's not named Kevontae Turpin or Darius Slayton?
Geez. Did we already say CeeDee Lamb? I don't remember. Did we already go there?
Yep.
We can do a Lamb touchdown.
We got
I just want whoever you think, who you're most confident scoring a touchdown tomorrow.
Lee
Well, it
says
would
we
be
should
Lamb.
bet the over on Drew Lock interceptions.
Can we? Is that a thing?
I'd be
You
up
might-
for that too. Yes.
We'll take
Thank you, Lee.
oh yeah, for sure. 0.5 interceptions.
Oh,
Yeah.
hammer.
Oh, we can do more. We can do 1.5 interceptions. Does he go over 1.5 interceptions? Does he throw 2 picks tomorrow?
Ooh.
I'll take a poll. There's 3 of you.
Oh.
Majority wins. Josh, does he throw 2 interceptions tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Kev?
I'm real confident about 1. I'm less confident
Okay.
about 2. I'll say no. I guess I'll say
Okay.
no. I'm
Ben, the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I'll say no. I'm happy at
All right.
1, but not
Okay.
All right,
2.
we're going to go over 1 then. We'll take the 0.85x here, and then we'll throw in whatever touchdown score you give us.
Yeah, I like CeeDee Lamb. So somebody mentioned it earlier, and I agreed with them. He's going to get a lot of targets and a lot of catches, and probably some yardage too. Why not a touchdown? So against this Giants defense.
Oh, you can only do 1 per player?
Oh.
Okay, let's scratch that one. I need another touchdown scorer here.
Hmm.
I ain't picking
Well,
nobody
hang
on the Giants.
You could do
What's Dowdle's rushing at?
Oh, there you go.
was that 67 earlier?
I mean, he rushed for 86 last week
Yeah.
on
Can I get this down to
19
like-
carries, but if he gets 19 carries again, he's going to rush for 70 yards, I would imagine, against this defense.
Yeah, I would feel pretty good about that as well. 67.5 does feel really high, but or it's high enough to make me nervous about it, obviously.
Yeah.
But do we
I was
dare
just
do
trying
a-
to find a way to give us a CD touchdown. Because I like CD touchdown. I'm down for that.
And
Yeah.
it's a split, man, when it goes to Dowdle's rushing yards. I
do we
mean,
do
What
CD
is the-
touchdown and we could do like Ezekiel Elliott for over his his 10 yards rushing.
Oh
like,
man, we might go lower. That might be the under that we play, right? There's the under.
I checked earlier, it was
What
like 12
is-
yards rushing was his mark, and I was real tempted. I was like, that's just a couple of carries. I'm sure they get lots of people.
Okay, Rico ran the ball 19 times last week,
yeah.
and they were leading the game the whole time. His rush attempts right now, 15.5. If they're winning this game, they're going to hand the ball off to Rico a lot, right?
Ooh, let's see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lee,
they're not.
we got Micah Parsons 1 sack already on here.
And
Yeah.
Dallas isn't super likely to hustle Dowdle out of there because where are they going? It's not like they're
Yeah.
worried about getting their lead dog out. So even if they're up double digits, there's a good chance he's still in the game getting those carries.
Yeah, his
So-
3 previous games, he had 10, 12, and 12 carries. But again, I think your point about the game script is a big one, right? Like they weren't in position to run the clock or eat up clock in those games. So
It also took them longer than I would have thought to give to put Zeke in the backseat, I guess is the way I'll say that. Like early in the season, Zeke was the starter for whatever reason, and it Rico had to win the job. So I think it hasn't been, because I was trying to look, when you look over at his season totals, it's hard to really get a gauge for what he would do. You kind of just have to look at the last month or so. But yeah, it's tough because I think he's only gone over 15 carries twice all season. But it is his job now. So
Yeah,
one of those
I
times was
do
last week.
think it's his job, right? I don't think there's much taking it away. And now it's also Cooper Rush, and you got to, I mean, they're still trying to win ball games. I could see. Let's do that. Let's go. That gives us a chance to put Lamb at touchdown. So we're going to go Micah Parsons over 1 sack, Lamb over a touchdown, Tyrone Tracy over 1.5 receptions. Drew Lock over 0.5 interceptions. And Rico Dowdle 15.5 rushing attempts. This is only a 14x compared to the 30x the last game, but we still got it here. I will again throw it in the chat. If you want to tail us and never put on underdog before, use promo code Trevor Steinbacher. Let's go to the last game of the day. The Hammer, the Green Bay Packers versus the Miami Dolphins. Green Bay, 3.5 point favorites, over under 46.5. I have started to see this one come down a little bit, which we know John had mentioned, take the under here
Right.
before he killed our stream. Josh, Packers, Dolphins, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to disagree with him live. So if you buy into the Dolphins can't play in November and when it gets cold, then yes, you're not doing anything with the Dolphins. I'm not there yet, especially with the fact that Tua's come back after injury and their offense has been kind of, taking steps in the right direction. And we know the Packers like to air it out and run the ball. I feel like there's enough points here. I just checked the weather report. It's 28 degrees, like a wind chill of about 19. So about 10 mile an hour winds, give or take, if my math is kind of close to accurate. It doesn't have to be, but I don't know. I'm going to pretend like the cold weather is not a factor. And I'm saying that because if you're out there thinking, well, that's cold weather, then you've already kind of decided. Because I think the over is very possible. I think the Dolphins are starting to realize that they have a pretty good team once Tua is healthy and their offense has been turning it around. And that leads me to my fantasy pick. I'm running with Tua in this week as well if I need a quarterback. I think that, I think their offense is just humming. He's getting the ball out really fast, which is when he's at his best, when he doesn't have to hold the ball very long. It's in rhythm. A lot of those Devon Achane little kind of screens in the red zone have continued to work. The Packers have a tough defense. I'm not saying that it's going to be a lights out performance by the Dolphins, but I think that to me, I feel like this game is going to score some points and both offenses are going to put up points. I know Jair Alexander's out, Edgerrin Cooper's out. Those are some big losses on the Packer defense. And I don't know. I'm high on the way the Dolphins offense is playing right now. So I'm taking Tua if I have him, or I'm starting Tua if I have him, unless I have like a stud quarterback. It's in the top 5 every week. Right. But if I've been kind of streaming, I'm definitely feeling good about Tua. I like Achane. I'm a little bit wary of the wide receivers because, Jalen Waddle out of nowhere had a performance, right? So do you think read too much into that? Well, Tyreek and then Jonnu Smith being the focal point of the offense is kind of weird. So if you like the tight end situation there, so there's a lot going on, but that's why I kind of like the over points. I think there'll be an offensive game even in the cold. And then I like Tua at quarterback. So, yeah, that's kind of where my head's at with the Dolphins Packers game tomorrow night.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. I want to make one point really quick because I could be way off on this. Everybody keeps telling me that the Packers defense is good. The Packers have the games that they don't give up at least 20 points in so far this year. The Colts, RIP, sorry, Kev. The Titans, RIP, sorry, James. The Rams without Cooper Kupp and Puka. The Cardinals, who are really up and down, but the Cardinals are a good offense.
Was it a double
The
XP
Bears-
COD weekend, though? Could have been.
Exactly, right? The Bears 2 weeks ago, and the 49ers with Brandon Allen playing quarterback last week. Okay? Those are the teams they haven't given up 20 points against. Teams they have given up 20 points, they gave up 20 points against the Texans without Nico. They gave up 20 points to the Jaguars, 31 to the Vikings, 34 to the Eagles, 24 to the line. Like, when they play good offenses, they're not shutting these offenses down. And I mean, I legitimately could be wrong here. They could come out, shut this offense down. I think Miami is humming. I think they're finding it right now. I think they're a really good offense. I don't worry about the Green Bay defense like everybody continues. And I feel like I'm on an island with that and I'm okay with that, but I just don't feel like they're as good as everybody wants to tell me that they are right now. Kev, what are your thoughts on this game?
I think I kind of agree with both of you on this one. I would go with the over. And as far as looking at individuals, let's say it is a cold weather game, but that's it, right? It's not really a snow game. It's just cold weather. I think that could bode well for our running backs. It might have a bit of interference, a bit of an impact on the passing game. Not really going to have any impact on the runners as long as everybody stays stretched out. Nobody gets too cold. And Josh Jacobs and Achane have both been pretty solid. I think, they're start and forget, right? If you have them in your leagues, you're playing them no matter what. And unfortunately, with the Thursday, there's some slim pickings. So those two are probably the two most expensive running backs for your daily. I'm probably not helping you out at all with your daily if I'm saying Achane and Jacobs, but I really
you got to throw the Lions running backs in there too. But yes, like Gibbs.
Yes, that's true.
Gibbs is always up there.
Yeah, so you're throwing darts for Swift or Dowdle if you're really trying to make a mark tomorrow. But I think it's going to be a very running back heavy game just because Jacobs does a little bit of everything. Now Lee makes a good point. Mostert is a touchdown tomorrow if he's active, is what Lee says. You do have to worry about that with the Dolphins as they come at you from a lot of different angles. But as a guy who has Achane in at least one league, he hits the mark most weeks. So that's what I'd feel confident in. Is at the very least, they're both going to run. I love that take, Trevor, about the Packers defense. I will say in an IDP league, I am starting a Packers defensive back which is never a good sign for a defense when your DBs are tackling so much that I have to start them every single week in my fantasy league. So, not always the greatest thing. So I do think it's going to be a good game. And just for fun, I guess, to pick a winner, I think the Dolphins are actually going to win this game. I think they're getting dangerous at the right time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Nice.
You're right. Josh Jacobs is set it and forget it in season-long fantasy football. Like, you got to play him. You got him on your team. You're probably playing him. But I will let you know, since their bye week in week 6, the Dolphins gave up 62 rushing yards to Kyren Williams in week 10. That's the most rushing yards they've given up against any running back. That's James Conner. That's James Cook. Ramondre Stevenson last week. Sorry, I also looked and they played the Colts. And it wasn't with Jonathan Taylor. And I almost, I was like,
they shut down Trey Sermon, didn't they?
I know. I almost said Jonathan Taylor. And then I was like, wait, nope, Jonathan Taylor didn't play that game. Okay.
Some guy named
Trey
Goodson, right? Yeah. Trey
so then
Sermon.
It just felt like my take was completely just like, well, yeah, no shit. They haven't given up to play Trey Sermon, dude. But there are some really good running backs in there and guys that we are starting each and every week in James Cook and Kyren Williams and James Conner. So I would say from a season-long standpoint, maybe we lower our expectations a little bit on Josh Jacobs. Obviously, he's going to have the touchdown equity there, and we love that in fantasy football. But from a yardage standpoint, they are handsomely stopping the run in the recent weeks. Ben, what's your take on this Packers-Dolphins game?
I've got a lot here. I, too, am leaning Dolphins in this game. They just feel like they're playing better. I'll come back to why in a second. Trevor, I'm going to start with your take on the Packers defense. I actually agree. I do feel like they're a solid defense, but boy, to me, there's no way you can stack them up against the better defenses in the NFL right now, such as the Vikings, the Broncos, the Eagles defense on a tear, the Steelers, the Chargers. I just do not feel like the Packers defense in any way measures up to those defenses. They don't get enough pressure on the quarterback. I just don't feel like they stack up there. They're fine, but they're not elite. They're not shutting anything down. And then on the flip side, the Dolphins defense. We've entered that stretch of the year every year where teams start to be different than they were 5 or 6 weeks ago, and the Dolphins defense is different. Calais Campbell and Seiler are on a tear on that defensive line. And the rookie Chop Robinson the past 3 weeks has been obliterating people, feeding off of the work that Campbell and Seiler are doing. And this Miami Dolphins defensive line is killing it right now. And then you've got at least an athletic secondary, even though it's not a great secondary back there, that is able to work off of that. So right now, this Dolphins defense is doing an outstanding job. And then I'll even add to it on the Packers side of things with Jordan Love. Lost in this streak of winning 6 out of 7 games is the fact that Jordan Love is not playing very well. You can see it when he's on the field, his body language, his eye contact, his confidence is a little bit down. You can see it in his decision-making. Some of the throws he's putting out there, he's going big play hunting sometimes. You can see it in the way Matt LaFleur is calling some of the plays. He's really started to dial it back a lot, actually throwing a lot of screens and short stuff to just kind of limit what's happening here on the field with Jordan Love. Jordan Love's very capable, but he's not doing it right now. This is not the Jordan Love show. This is the Josh Jacobs show, and this is a running game first for the Packers, and then they're kind of letting Jordan Love work off of that a little bit. So all things considered, it's going to be close. It's going to be tight because it's in Green Bay, and it is cold, but I like the Dolphins this week.
Yeah, has there been anything more frustrating than being in a situation where you have to play a Packers receiver? They have some good players, Reed, Dobbs. They've got some good guys out there. Watson at one point, I think he was the patient zero as far as their just weekly headache. This guy's going to score 2 touchdowns or 3 points. But yeah, it's as far as a fantasy play for that I guess is your dart throw. Maybe if you really are feeling good about somebody, but that's something I would avoid. I would avoid all Packers receivers, season long or daily. It's just it's a minefield.
Yeah, I think Dobbs was starting to become the guy. Jaden Reed is probably the actual most talented. I really like Dontavian Wicks, but he just can't find the field unless Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, or Christian Watson are out. And anytime those guys are out, he does find the field. Back in week 4, Christian Watson got hurt. Wicks has 13 targets after Watson goes out in that game. Watson doesn't play the next game. Dobbs doesn't play the next game. Wicks has 7, leads the team in targets with 7 that week. He kind of shows up, but only if somebody's out. He is like that. When he's on the field, he's getting the targets. He's leading the team, but he doesn't see the field very often. So that's kind of a weird vibe for me. Why is Wicks not on the field more often? If when he is there, you're targeting him over and over and over again. I truly don't have an answer for that, but that's probably who I would go towards if I was leaning towards a Packers receiver this week. In season long, you're playing Jaden Reed because he's probably going to be one of your best options anyways. But DFS stuff, I like Wicks. I was actually trying to look up some Wicks stuff on Underdog while you all were talking to start preparing us for our picks there. But it sounds like a lot of everybody's on the Dolphins. I wouldn't mind sprinkle a little money on the Dolphins money line this week. But I think the actual best bet would just be taking Dolphins plus 3.5.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah, I'd take that all day. And yeah, to just add a little bit to that, as far as the receiver stuff goes, in the offseason, Love would speak very highly of Dobbs, and that was something that set my alarms off. Early on, I grabbed him late in some drafts just thinking, well, that's the guy the quarterback's talking about, like that. He's probably going to be looking for him, right? And so that's maybe another thing to think of if you're I mean, because there's a guy, depending on the depth of your season-long league, like he might be available to some extent. I see Packers receivers come and go on the waiver wire on a weekly basis at this point, but
Yeah.
maybe that's somebody you're looking at for a daily as well. Just because he does seem to, they do seem to have a good relationship there, and there is something to account for that. When the going gets tough, the guy's going to look for the person that he is on the same wavelength as. So maybe, I don't know exactly what any props are for him, but depending on what the receptions are, for instance, I don't know about yards, but I think Dobbs could be somebody to take the over on receptions depending on where it's at.
Yeah. I every time I see Love and Dobbs play, I feel like they have that same chemistry, right? It feels like he's going to assert himself as the go-to, but then Jaden Reed will blow up for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. And you're like, wow, this is the guy. He has to be because of all this, And then when Christian Watson's healthy, it's like, okay, now there's another one. So it's very, totally hear you. It's hard to decide which one. So
yeah, Watson's the touchdown machine. Reed usually gets, I don't know if it's a carry a game anymore, but early in the season they were saying, like, we're going to make sure he touches the ball a certain amount of time. So you had that aspect too.
Yep.
Man, it's a great Madden team to play with, but I wouldn't want to be drafting any of their receivers. Yeah.
Well, if you're gonna play on Madden though, you gotta bring Malik Willis in so you can run around with the quarterback. You can't run with Jordan Love. You gotta bring Malik Willis in so you can run around. Before we get to our underdog parlay here, just love all the support that we're getting here. Come on over if you're on Twitter. Come on over to YouTube. YouTube is a little bit more interactive. It allows you to kind of join the chat a little bit, throw in your best plays, throw in your thoughts. We love interacting with our chat. Lee, as always, is here. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And can I say all your family? Like, would that be telling myself Happy Thanksgiving? How does that work? But do appreciate you obviously being here. He says Love and Stroud having a sophomore slump. They really are. We talked about Stroud and the Houston Texans really early on in the night. Well, let's build an underdog team here, or an underdog parlay, I should say. I've got Wicks pulled up. I didn't really find anything I absolutely loved with him yet.
4 receptions.
The other person I want to mention is Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about him. Season long, you have to be playing him right now. Yep. He's hot. He's tight end. Tight end's always a dumpster fire. You really got to be starting Jonnu Smith. I think, Josh, we talked about him last week, if I remember right, in part of your pass.
I've been doing the whole 180 on Jonnu Smith because the first big game he had, we went on ADP, and I was like, I don't buy into it. It's a anomaly, a flash in the pan, and now he's like wide receiver 1. Like, all jokes aside, like he's a go-to target outside of Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill. And so now I'm looking at that 46.5 receiving yards, and I'm like, that's higher. Let's go higher. Very simply, he's going to get at least 65 yards tomorrow. But again, that's just, maybe probably the pendulum swinging too far the other direction, right? Like getting a little bit too overhyped, a little bit overcompensation there. But yeah, Jonnu Smith has been huge. And so I think that there's no signs of showing that he's not going to be involved. And so I think from a prop standpoint, whatever we feel like is most logical receptions or yards, I'm cool with going higher on.
Yeah, out of the last 7, 4 out of his last 7, he's hit over 46.5. 2 of those games, he was at 45 and 46.
Oof.
So essentially 6 out of his last 7, he's hit 45 yards or more.
Right.
I would be down for over 46.5. It does feel a little low for how involved Jonnu Smith has been.
He's getting so many targets, and he's proven he can take the ball and run too. He's not just like a fall forward for the extra 2 yards. He's getting a little yak for us too. So
yeah, what's his receptions at? 4.5. That one doesn't feel as good because he's with that yards after catch stuff. He doesn't necessarily need a bunch of catches to get to the 45 or 46. Let's take the 46.5. There's no multiplier on it, but I think it's still a pretty good line here. One thing I did look at is Wicks. So one thing Underdog allows you to put a bet on is, these aren't bets. These are higher and lowers. Is fantasy points. I think it's a cool little way to pick, right? So just so everybody knows, half point PPR on Underdog here, but Wicks is 7.5 essentially fantasy points, which you're looking at a couple catches, 50, 60 yards. I think that was something that stood out to me for Wicks. His receiving yards total. So if he goes at these two totals, right, 3 catches for 40 yards, you're just shy of those 7 points, and you got a little touchdown equity. I don't know. You guys like anything with Wicks, or would you guys rather go elsewhere?
I was prepared to fight you on this for Jaden Reed over 50 yards or whatever, but looking back at his past few games, he's just way too volatile. I feel like he's got his past 2 games, he hasn't even eclipsed 30 yards, and then he has 113 yards before that. Just so risky. I don't know.
It's a curse.
What's that?
It's a curse having him on your team. You're like,
right.
Oh, there's so much potential here. He's Christian Watson of this year, where it's like, oh man, this guy, he's either going to make my game or cost me it.
Yeah. So I guess instead of like going to bat for a guy I can't even trust in the slightest, I think I like what you're going with Dontavian Wicks. I say, why not?
All right, we'll throw that on there. Anything else here? Ben, you like any players out of this game that you want to attack?
I've got a really obscure one just to talk about while you're maybe looking up the rushing yardage on him, and we'll see if we even like it or not, because I don't know if I like it, but just talk about it. Emmanuel Wilson, backup running back for the Packers on rushing yardage. He doesn't get a lot of touches, but he usually gets them every game. I expect the Packers to run the football even more in this game, not less, based on what we've talked about with Jordan Love and how cold it's going to be. And I don't expect, being that cold, that Josh Jacobs is necessarily going to have as much energy as he might have under normal weather conditions. He's going to need to be spelled more. So Emmanuel Wilson has had some good games this year, nothing breakout, but just some good production about 4 or 5 different times this year. So I am curious, because it would be a tiny number, but what that rushing yardage number is for Wilson.
Well, he's not on. Underdog doesn't have a rushing line for him, unfortunately.
Okay.
But
there's that then.
Okay, he is healthy. That reminded me, he actually was roughed up a little bit last game, but it does look like he's healthy now. So I wanted to look that up, because if he was out, then I was going to give you the name Chris Brooks, who is their third running back right now. We were going to go real deep into some of these players, but it does look like Emmanuel Wilson is going to be active tomorrow. And unfortunately right now, Underdog doesn't have anything for him. I'd be interested to know if like FanDuel or DraftKings has a line for them. If so, I do kind of like that idea around that. Don't like it for a touchdown, but I do like the what is it going to be? I mean, 12.5 maybe.
See, that's about where I was thinking, 11, 12. If it's 12.5, I still like it. He's been hitting that a lot this year.
Yeah, for sure.
We have a gimme pick here. I didn't even realize that for Jordan Love. We'll throw that on there.
Oh, nice.
Gimme pick of 0.5 yards. So obviously,
I really like the over on that.
Did it? College bat. I didn't even realize that. Look at that. You get on the Underdog. You got a little couple things here. Josh, Kev, you guys got any players we should attack here? A-Chain stuff I love, but man, it's so high, which understandably.
So it's funny that you mentioned A-Chan, because I'm a big A-Chan guy, and I did one earlier, and I don't know if it's one I want to advise necessarily, but I took over 2.5 first quarter receiving yards. I know that's just scary to do the specific quarter, but That's one catch for Achane. If you think he's going to
Yeah.
get one catch in the first quarter, like I hate doing those because then there's no time to stress and hope. Like it's either you win it or lose it in the first quarter. So I don't even know if I want to give it as
Maybe that's good though. We already know, like
right.
he doesn't get it. Like, all right, don't have to stress over that one.
Exactly. And I'm with you. Like he's a stud running back, and now he is going in cold weather. So I go back on my own advice and be like, well, now I'm worried about Devon Achane, but I feel like he's going to, catch one pass for 3 yards plus in the first quarter. Like that to me sounds like a slam dunk. But again, not, it depends on if we want to take that risk because it is obviously first quarter limited. I don't know. That's
I wish it had a little bit of a multiplier, but I don't hate it.
yeah.
Achane 3 catches or more in every game this year except for one. Like that was without Tua. Since Tua's been back, he's had games of 6, 8, 5. Like he's gonna catch the ball.
They've
He's very involved.
I listened to Fantasy Football Today a decent amount, the CBS fantasy podcast, and I forget what the exact stat was, but some of the receiving numbers alone for Achane put him in a pretty top category. So then when you factor in that he's getting at least 30, 40 rushing yards, even on a bad day, like he's been that much of a target out of the backfield. It's been pretty impressive.
Yeah. They want to go to him early and often. This 91.5 rush receiving yards isn't terrible. But again, you're not getting any multipliers there, so I don't really like that. Let's stick with the 2.5 receiving yards for the first quarter. Lee asked if we bet unders for yards and catches. We can. I mean, we talked a little bit earlier about unders and just they're not as fun. They're probably sharper. It's probably smarter, but when you're on a stream on YouTube and talking about sports betting, like nobody wants to listen to you talk about unders. Kev, you got any players in this game you want to attack?
I would like to see, I don't know about me personally, but Lee mentioned Mostert touchdown being a lock. So what are some of the props around him? Because you just know, I assume it's touchdown only, right?
It is
like
touchdown only. 2.66.
Have we done anything with the Miami receivers? I know Waddle had what I would qualify probably as a bit of an anomaly last week, right? Like that was a massive week, but is there any equity with him or Tyreek in this game? Like I imagine there's probably no easy money to be had with those two, but
Tyreek has 5.5 receptions at a 1.04x for the over, so it's a little bit of a boost for him to get 6 receptions, but
Waddle,
which I think
goodness, hasn't really done anything other than last week.
Is he one that you grab the under? Like, is this one of those sell high situations? Like, everybody else is gonna inflate the value here.
It's at 42.5. I was gonna look and see, like 39.5. You get a little bit of juice. But I don't really like that. He really lives in that like 35 to 55 range. So I don't really love this 42.5 here. It's awesome that you can just bet targets, right? Like,
right.
How many targets is this guy gonna have? Is he even gonna have target? Again, he usually lives in the 4 to 6 range, of course, right where the betting line's at. What's Tyreek's stuff? Let's look at him.
It sounds like, I don't know what that receptions total sounded. Maybe like there was enough in there.
5.5. I think this is going to be a big Tyreek game, just personally. I love him in DFS this week.
Getting a little boost on 5.5 is not bad then, because
All right, let's do that. Let's go over 5.5. So right now we've got Jonnu over 46.5 receiving yards. The Give Me with Jordan Love over half yard. Devon A-Chain, 2.5 first quarter receiving yards. Tyreek Hill, 5.5 receptions. Let's get one more to make this a 5-legger. We got to get some kind of juice here. Who scores a touchdown from Green Bay? Ben, you're our touchdown guy tonight, apparently.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I actually had a different thing.
Oh, okay. Go ahead,
touchdown.
then.
I'm not. Yeah. Anyway, I was thinking about Chop Robinson. He's on fire with that Miami defensive line. Are we allowed to do sacks on
Yes.
players like quarter
Yep.
sack? I think going over a quarter sack, there's a very good chance in this game that he can get after that. So,
Yo, we're also moving the line here as we are, we're talking to the masses on the YouTube. Like everybody's locked into us right now on this Thanksgiving Eve. So much so that Jonnu Smith is now at 45.5 receiving yards. We'll just
talked it up.
accept it because we've already done it. But
Nice.
I think that's because we've been talking about it so much.
That's right.
exactly why.
Chop
Hyping it
Robinson.
up.
Chop Robbins is at half a
Can't even
sack.
say I've even heard him before. 1.5 multiplier if he gets a sack. Chop Robinson's going to sack Jordan Love tomorrow. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, at least a half, right? Can we get him at quarters, and so all he's got to get is the half?
No, we can only give him a half.
Okay, all right.
But we'll take a half.
We'll take
Yeah,
a
I'll
half.
take a half.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right, this one pays out $31. So we'll take that one there
Nice.
as always. And I want to do one more thing if you guys have time
I got it.
to build a FanDuel DFS lineup for tomorrow.
Ooh.
Josh, you play DraftKings, don't you?
No, I play FanDuel.
Oh, okay, perfect. Look at that.
Yep.
Ben, do you play any DFS?
No, I'm in a keeper league on fantasy, but I don't actually do anything beyond that. I'm in one league, literally. That's it. So no
All
daily
right.
stuff.
Not a Chiefs fan, not a DFS fan.
I like
I
it.
was
That's
so
not time
pumped. I was
for it.
so pumped to come on here and talk shop with you, talk Chiefs stuff with you, man. Trying to figure out why you're a Chiefs fan.
I got
like-
lots of Chiefs takes. I ain't got no DFS takes, unfortunately. Not daily takes.
That's all right. You got player takes. Sometimes that's all you need in DFS, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hey, I was gonna do something a little bit reversal while we get DFS set up on FanDuel. I have a running back conundrum. Can I put it in the chat and have our chat offer up advice for me on my
Let's do it.
basically my wide receiver room is real thin, and so I'm going to start 4 running backs. So we have a number of flex options, and so I'm looking at my guy Tyrone Tracy in a tough matchup, or Chuba Hubbard, who has been surprisingly awesome, but Jonathan Brooks is coming back, or is back now, and is the Panthers are still the Panthers. So I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to let people just throw their thoughts in. So give me a Hubbard or Tracy pick while we get set up here on FanDuel.
Hubbard or Tracy?
I know it feels blasphemous to even bring it up because Tracy's my guy, and so I feel like I've already offended the fantasy football gods by even suggesting that I'm not going to start Tyrone Tracy. But Hubbard's just been so stable that it's bothering me right now. So I need some advice.
I want to move this over here, this over here.
I'm gonna go ahead and put in my Hubbard opinion while we're doing the thing, and while everybody that's in the chat chimes in on there. I still like Hubbard. I'm not even sure Brooks is going to get a lot of touches. He might get 2-3 touches this game. That's probably going to be it. There's no way they're going to move off of Hubbard. Hubbard's been gold. I've actually been lucky enough to have him on my fantasy team this year. So he's been gold for me. Actually saved me a couple of weeks. He scored 25 one week. He scored 20 another week. He scored 20 and 22 on the last couple of weeks. He's been good for double digits. Man, I don't know, all but 2 weeks. So
Yeah,
I like Hubbard. Hubbard's been gold, so I wouldn't move off of Hubbard myself, even though I
All right.
like Tracy as well.
Yeah, those are fair points. Fair points.
I would agree. I love Hubbard right now. I'll just keep it simple and say that I agree. Retweet.
Retweet. Nice.
I'm trying to mess with the screen while you guys are talking just to have some fun. I don't really understand. I'm trying to move us to the bottom. I don't know how to do that. All right.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, tell me. Do you know how to do that?
No, I don't. I was trying to figure out. No, sorry, never mind. I thought I had something for you. I don't have anything.
Darn. Oh, well. Cancel. Discard. Oh, that's not what I want.
While you're looking at that, Lee is chiming in and said Tracy's a good running back, but it's hard to start him over Hubbard. So he too is leaning
Yeah.
up at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair. I have and I've people who've watched ADP know that I'm very, very high on Tracy, so they probably understand that there's a little bit of a reach happening there, I suppose. So, all right, it's good advice. I'm not sure I'll take it, but there's nothing,
I almost feel like
there's nothing good advice can do to my gut to tell me what to do. So
that's a fair point. You should not move off your gut. I almost feel like the Giants' creativity has just kind of died out the past 3 or 4 weeks on offense. During the first few weeks, we saw them doing literally everything with Neighbors. He was literally running the ball, catching the ball, and throwing the football.
Yeah.
And you had Tyrone Tracy doing all kinds of crap, which he's still doing some, but it's almost kind of like the energy is going out of the building. They're just not doing a whole heck of a lot of it, So for what that's worth.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I think that's really sharp because it's so true. They have struggled so much getting in the ball recently. And then, he's fumbling too, right? So, like, you don't like that. He's had the fumble issue. Last week after he fumbled, I think he only touched the ball like one more time after that.
Wow.
So that hasn't
I didn't
helped.
know.
Yeah. All right, let's build a lineup for tomorrow. Salaries, player takes, whatever it is. Give me who do you think is gonna be the guy? Kev, I'm gonna start with you. Just you get to choose the first player we're gonna put in here. Don't even worry about the salaries yet. Just tell me the best player to play tomorrow.
Ooh, I think it's exactly what the odds say it is right there, right? Isn't it A-Chain at the top, or do we try to avoid that? See, I don't play a ton of daily, so I feel like that's going to be a guy who's going to get some carries. He's going to definitely catch the ball from Tua. I don't know. That's where I'd like to start, but I'm happy to be overruled.
Nope. I think AJ's fine. He's very expensive. So it's not going to be not going to be easy for the rest of our lineup, but it's not going to be bad. Also, a little contrarian because he is so expensive. Not everybody's going to find their way to putting him on their roster tomorrow as the most expensive guy on the slate. So don't mind that. Josh, you're next in line. Who are we going to?
Well, I don't know if it might be too rich for our blood now after Achane, but Jahmyr Gibbs is my slam dunk in tomorrow's slate. I don't doubt him at all. He's getting tons of touches. He's a big play opportunity as well. There's a Montgomery kind of an injury issue. I don't know. He's probably playing, but I feel like the Lions running backs when they're healthy are set and forget. And even though he's a little pricey, I think you can't go wrong there.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think that there's a world that you could play both the running backs tomorrow if you wanted to together, like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I don't know how much I'll get to that. Right now, my absolute favorite way to attack tomorrow is overstacking the Lions, just putting 4 Lions in it, or overstacking the Dolphins, just playing 4 Dolphins and saying that.
Yep.
And mostly the Dolphins because I don't think anybody's going to play them. The Lions because I think we know they can hang 50 up any other week, but those are my 2 ways to attack the slate tomorrow. I haven't landed on any specific things quite yet. I'll build my lineups tomorrow morning while cooking my turkey. Ben, what do you think, man? I know you said you don't play DFS, but that's okay. What we're looking for is just some good plays here and maybe a couple cheap plays since we've already used a lot of salary.
All right, let me go with the ones I know aren't cheap, so we're not going to use them. It was going to be CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill. I do feel like either one of them could have a big day, score something there. What's our parameters here on running back, wide receiver, QB?
You could play one quarterback. You could 2 running back, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and then you have flex. Wide receiver, running back, tight end, flex. On FanDuel, it is very touchdown heavy. It's a half point PPR, so really touchdowns matter a lot more on FanDuel than if you play on DraftKings.
For our one quarterback, since we're already getting a little cap unfriendly, I assume Cooper Rush probably isn't too expensive, and I do expect the Cowboys to have a big day here. So what's the price on him?
Cooper Rush, 6,900, not a bad price at all. He's $500 more than Drew Lock is, but $300 cheaper than Caleb Williams.
He's been more consistent the last 2 weeks.
I wouldn't want Drew Lock myself. I'd be open to Caleb Williams.
Which one do you want, Cooper or Caleb? Caleb Williams will be the chalk play. Everybody's going to play him, I assume. Him and Jordan Love are the 2 currently from establishedrun.com. I like Cooper.
Yeah,
if we do Cooper, then we could put CeeDee Lamb in there and just stack them up.
Nice little stack.
Yeah, I like Cooper not because of Cooper. And that game, as a backup goes, he's fine. But I like Cooper because they're going up against the bad Giants D, and he's got plenty of weapons to go to here. So that's why I'm on the Cooper thing.
Okay, I'm going to go Lamb, which means let's put a defense in real fast to make our salary look a little bit easier.
Do we stick with the Cowboys there?
We could yeah, as I said, we could just stack up the Cowboys defense as well.
Yeah.
I like that myself.
Not a lot of people like to play the same defense as they have like the quarterback. I think in a 3-game slate, these are times that you can do weird stuff like that. I mean, if we're talking Sunday and there's 8 to 10 games on, you might not do that. But for a 3-game slate, stack that up. Kev, we have an average of 5,700 left. Tight ends are going to be cheap.
Tight end time.
But we can also go anywhere else. Running backs, wide receivers, it's all open for you.
How do we feel about betting on another career day for Cole Kmet? I feel like that's going to be somewhere we can save a little money. I don't expect him to be the highest scoring tight end. I think that's going to be Jonnu Smith. We've all expressed our disappointment at Sam Laporta's production. Probably no fault of his own. A lot of weapons out there. So is Cole Kmet a good value, or do you guys like what was it? Schoonmaker?
Schoonmaker?
Do you like that better?
Projection wise, they project very similarly. So
are we worried about too many Cowboys in one or no, is that no?
No, I wouldn't be worried about like if you want to double stack Cooper Rush, I think that's very viable. To put 2 pass catchers with him, I think it's very viable there. I also think Cole Kmet's fine.
I mean,
like either guy. Yeah, I don't have an opinion on those 2.
If it's my pick, I'm going with the Golden Dome or give me Cole Kmet, unless we need to save $200 later.
You got to have an Irishman in there. All right, Josh, save this lineup now that Kev blew it up.
I'm gonna appeal to you, Trev. I think that Dontavian Wicks is real cheap and real available with this build so far.
Oh, I'm on tight end. That's fine.
Because I think he's only
5,400. Yep.
Yeah. Nice balancing out of CD there, maybe.
Yeah, love some Dontavian Wicks this week. 2 picks left. Ben, you get one, and then I'll finish this off. We are at 6,200, so we got to go a little bit cheap here.
Okay.
But I mean, you can go Chicago pass catchers, Miami pass catchers, Christian Watson, Jameson Williams, tight end. I mean, there's
So you can
there's
always
plenty of
swap
options.
out. You can always swap out that tight end for a better option.
Well, we can play two tight ends if we need the salaries.
What's the? I assume Keenan Allen is too expensive already.
Keenan Allen is he's not too expensive. We could get away with playing Keenan Allen.
It's a thought. It does seem like they're looking for him the past 2 or 3 weeks, but I don't know any other options out there. Well, starting to run a little bit dry.
Yeah, you got Waddle and Johnny Smith. Rico Dowdle is still on the board. If you want to add another Dallas player, Jameson Williams in that first game. We don't have a lot of green. Well, we have a Devon A-Chain, Dontavian Wicks little mini stack there from the last game of the day. Roma
Rico
Dunze is out
Dowdle.
there.
I was just
Your
going to
boy
say
Darius Slayton.
Yeah,
Rico.
I was just
I
going to
like
say
Rico or
Rico has been talked about a few times on this episode, and he could slide in as a flex option.
yeah, I like Rico or the guy I mentioned first, one or the other.
All right, let's go Rico. I'm going to move A-Chain to our flex because he plays in the last game of the day. You got to give yourself a little swap options there. That leaves us $6,300. I'm going to go Jameson Williams. I think Jameson Williams is going to have a phenomenal game tomorrow morning. So
Nice.
I'll slide him in there. For the anyone not actually watching but listening, real quick, we'll wrap this up. Cooper Rush at quarterback, Rico Dowdle, CeeDee Lamb, and the Cowboys defense. So just going heavy Cowboys. I really love going heavy on one team tomorrow. It really is going to make your lineups a lot different. Jahmyr Gibbs and Jameson Williams in that first game with Cole Kmet as a bringback. And then our late game hammer, Dontavian Wicks and Devon A-Chain. Lock it in. It's going to be a solid team. Let's get out of here, boys. This has been long enough. Obviously fun, as always. I love our Thanksgiving Eve show. I only call it a Thanksgiving Eve show now, Kev, because apparently I'm the only one that calls tonight Skanksgiving. Nobody else in the world. Only the listeners call that. All you non-Kansas and Missouri folk, don't call it that. Kev, I'll start with you, man. Tell us where everybody can find you. Talk about all the good stuff you do, and let's get out of here.
Skanksgiving. I'm going to hold on to that one for later.
We talked about it last year.
I know. I forget.
I'm like, it's literally
keep
the night.
forgetting.
It's just a nickname. Everybody comes home to their families, and everybody goes out to the bars and has their fun.
Couple of years working in food service will cure
We
you.
were
of
all
that,
younger
but
back,
yeah.
we're all middle-aged men now. So we got families, we got pets, we got, I got turkey I got to go get ready to cook tomorrow. We got things to do these days.
No kidding. You can find me normally on Thursday nights on this channel, not this week for pretty obvious reasons, but happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Previewing the Thursday night NFL game and also talking a little NBA on The Bounce. You can also find me on our sister station, Dweeb, talking about movies, comic books, TV shows. We've got our Monday stream at 6 p.m. and our Star Wars show every Wednesday, normally at 9 p.m. But James was traveling this week, which is why I got to hang out with all of you guys tonight. So go check us out over on Dweeb. And also I do play-by-play for Carnage Media pay-per-view. So if you're looking to catch all the top amateur fighters in the Midwest, go check that out at Carnage Media PPV.
If you want to find any of the fighters who are taking on Mike Tyson next, follow Carnage.
If you want to see a bunch of dudes who could probably beat up Jake Paul, yeah, go check
Yeah, that's right. That's literally true. It's literally sometimes like when I watch, I actually love your like your pre-fight interviews when you bring like 4 or 5 of them on. They're pretty cordial. I don't know who's fighting who, but I know they're fighting each other. Like you can kind of get that vibe. They're pretty cordial, but I'm like, man, this is intense. These dudes are just ready. Like they're just ready to just get after it.
every once in a while you get the ones that are not as cordial, and there's some of them that really get the whole idea of the promo and trying to
Yeah.
sell the fight with a little bit of trash talk.
It's
And
pretty fun. I
that's
love
when
those
it
pre-fight-
gets
those
really
pre-fight
fun.
interviews.
Yeah.
Those are nice. I like it. Ben, man, thanks for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. Hope that we get to do some more shows, together. I think you got a really sharp mind, and I really enjoy listening to you on Necessary Roughness. You and John, dude, you guys just you give good football takes, and Josh and I talk about it a lot. Yeah, we're like the fantasy guys, but you guys are going to give the hand in the dirt. This is
I'm try.
you got the
Right.
third string left guard that you're going to talk about. I'm like, who the hell is this? It's good football stuff. But Ben, tell everybody where they can find you.
Trevor, I need you to talk to my wife. All right, you just said that I had a good mind and I was good to listen to. But I need you to talk to her and explain this. All right,
When it comes to football,
yes. She just doesn't see it the same way, man. All right.
I know. I hear you.
So Trevor, Kev, Josh, I've enjoyed the whole time here tonight. Really appreciate it. And then everybody, of course, Lee is always in the comments, both on our show, your show. So really appreciate Lee. Me and John would do it Tuesday nights at 9:00. John already mentioned that, so that's a lot of fun. And then if anybody wants to reach out to me on X, I'm at Ben Park 79. So hit me up over there at Ben Park 79 on the X.
And you got a you do sports and money, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm these days I'm about like some of y'all. I'm doing 5 shows a week on average right now, just because I'm a sicko and I love it. But yeah, we enjoy it.
Now is sports and money a Chiefs podcast?
Okay, so real quick, and this will explain my Chiefs fandom. I did a video back when the Chiefs first let go of Alex Smith and brought in Patrick Mahomes as part of the deal. I loved the move, not because I had any clue that Mahomes was any good, but because of the money-saving factor. I was like, yes, we're going to get off of an expensive average quarterback and bring in a young guy, and I loved it. And I did a video on it, and it got all kinds of run in Chiefs Kingdom and got me over half my current subscriber base, which isn't very large. And from then on, I was like, you know what? I'll do some Chiefs stuff. So I did Chiefs stuff for 3 or 4 years, and that's why all the Chiefs stuff.
Maybe that's my next calling is just do Chiefs stuff. That's the old co-host Dan. He does a Chiefs podcast as well, and they're hitting it pretty big. So he does it like 2 or 3 times a week. So, which has been, a nice change because it's allowed us to bring Josh on to do ADP, which has been freaking awesome.
Oh yeah,
Josh, you got a pretty bright mind yourself, and a football guy, a football coach, dude. The ultimate football guy. Josh, tell everybody where they can find you outside of ADP.
Well, right now it's mainly ADP. I will shout out our pal Simon and Friends podcast, a friend of Bite Size Sports.
You got to have him on soon, man.
Yes.
Yeah. He was going to try to make it tonight. He couldn't quite pull it together, or couldn't quite get it organized, or not that he wasn't organized. What I'm trying to say is he couldn't make it tonight, but
he's got a turkey to make. I understand.
Yeah, he's got responsibilities tonight, and I was trying to say that every way I thought of it, I was like, that's putting it on him like a bad whatever. But no, he was definitely invited. Yeah, because his podcast is great too. But I'm really just doing ADP and that one once a month, just from a time management standpoint. But it's been fun. Ben, the only question I have for you is how much Necessary Roughness do we miss because John ends the stream early while you guys are still talking, and there's all this analysis out in the ether that no one's heard yet. That's the big loss all of us listeners have lost at this point.
Yeah, we actually do more before he actually starts the live stream than after. But yeah, John's full of stuff. His XO stuff is very good. I wish he could get a telestrator because that would really launch him. But yeah, he's very good on the XO stuff.
Yeah, no, I appreciate everyone hanging out. Lee, of course, for sure, and anyone else that's been popping in. ADP's been a blast, so let's keep it rolling as we head into the fantasy playoffs. So thanks, Trev.
Yeah, we're gonna be here through the playoffs, maybe even through the NFL playoffs as we kind of figure that out as we go. Happy Thanksgiving to all. if you're on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, thank you for being here. We seriously appreciate it. Don't be afraid. Jump on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It helps all of us out as we are on the road to 700 subscribers. Happy Thanksgiving to y'all, and we will see you all next week.
I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, 5 and a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats to turn to a ghost.